Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Today I have something truly, truly amazing to share with you. And well, it all started a few days ago with this article, okay, that I read, The Returning King, the Two Messiahs in Zechariah. Now, I'm going to leave the link for this article below in the description box, but I thought I'll just take you through this and then I'll explain how the veil has been lifted, okay, how everything has been made perfectly crystal clear all of a sudden. Now, in this article, okay, it basically says that, in Zechariah, if you read Zechariah 9, verses 9 to 10, you realize that the Messiah is being described, okay. I'll just read the whole thing out. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout in triumph, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. He is just and endowed with salvation, humble and mounted on a donkey, even on a colt, the foal of a donkey. And he will speak peace to nations, and his dominion will be from sea to sea, and from river to the ends of the earth. Okay, this is talking about a Prince of Peace. This is talking about a Messiah who comes humble and mounted on a donkey. Okay, but then in Zechariah 14, it speaks about a great mighty warrior king, okay, who is out to do battle, all right? Because it says, For I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city will be captured. Then the Lord will go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fights on a day of battle. In that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, and it will come with such force that when the Messiah comes feet first on the Mount of Olives, the mountain divides from east to west. One part moves to the north, one part moves to the south. Okay, that is the power and the force with which this warrior King Messiah will come. Okay, now I need to show you something very interesting. So in a sense, it goes on to say that there are two descriptions, two messiahs. Does the king who reigns over all the earth come gently, riding on a donkey in peace, or in great wrath, ready to do battle? Is Zechariah contradicting himself? And this is not the only place in the scriptures where we find seemingly divergent pictures of Messiah. For example, Micah 5 tells us he is born in Bethlehem, the city of David. But in Daniel 7, the prophet tells us he will arrive riding on the clouds of heaven. Is the Messiah going to be cut off, killed, or karath, the word in Hebrew karath, completely consumed, okay, as predicted in Daniel 9? Or will he come in regal splendor and reign forever, as Isaiah 9 tells us? Let's just take a look at Isaiah 9. It's one of my absolute favorite passages. Okay, so hang on. So here we read, For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice, from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Okay, now I want to take you back to this. Alright, so here, as I mentioned, there are two seemingly divergent pictures of the Messiah in the Old Testament. Okay, so you have Micah 5, you have Daniel 7, you have Daniel 9, you have Isaiah 9, okay, and it goes on to say, as Isaiah 9 tells us, is he the suffering servant of Isaiah 53, or a royal king portrayed in Psalm 2? In response to these two seemingly opposite pictures of Messiah, some Jewish scholars and rabbis decided that there must be two Messiahs. The Messiah ben Joseph, okay, or the Messiah ben Yosef, who would come and suffer, and the Messiah ben David, or the Messiah ben David, who would come as a conquering king. All right, so this is what the Jewish rabbis thought, that there are two messiahs. Okay, now we know better, because although he did come as Messiah ben Joseph when Jesus was born. He was born to Mary. His father's name was Joseph. He did come, and Ben means son of. Okay, so Messiah ben Joseph is Messiah ben Joseph. And then they're expecting the warrior king, who will be Messiah ben David or Messiah ben David. All right, so they think they're two different messiahs, but we know better, because from Zechariah 49, he makes it plain that that day the Lord will be the only one, and his name the only one. Okay, he's trying to solve that riddle. Okay, the Jews are still confused because they never accepted Jesus, but we know better, right? But this is very important, because when I read this article, it was like suddenly a veil was lifted from my eyes, and I could see clearly what the Lord has been showing us over the past 2 years. Okay, and I really needed to share this with you, because it's blown my mind, and I'm sure it's going to blow yours too. Okay, now here we go. All right, now I'm going to cover this because I know maths is confusing for most people, but it's important, so I need to share this. This 717 that I've been given ever since I think 2018. It's been 2 years of study and biblical research. This is the Davidic kingdom, is what it represents. See how it is written. Okay, to a normal eye, a Gentile eye that does not know Hebrew, you would read this as 717. Okay, but this actually is David. All right, that's how the Jewish people would say David. This is David. This is Dalet, Vav, and Dalet. Okay, so now all this I had done before. Okay, that when I got 717, I realized that it was the compound of the third person. Okay, because the compound root is, okay, let me not get ahead of myself. Okay, so here we go. You have in Jewish culture, you have Mashiach ben Yosef, or Messiah ben Joseph, and Messiah ben David, or Messiah ben David. Now, if you look at this, okay, I've done this before, and let me take this. Where can I take this? Okay, I'm going to cover this, okay, because this is important. I need to show you this. Now, if you take this, we know the two allegedly separate messiahs are one, okay, and where one, when Jesus came 2000 years ago, he was Messiah ben Joseph, or Messiah ben Joseph. All right, and we know he's going to come back as the warrior king, or Messiah ben David. All right, now we know there's an overlap. Okay, so you have these two concentric circles. All right, and then you have the overlap. Now what's important here is that I need to show you this. Okay, this is the overlap, all right, between the two seemingly different messiahs, which is actually one. It is Jesus, okay, or Yeshua. Now here you have this in mathematics is called the vesica Pisces, okay, and I'm just going to show you this because you don't have to know all of this, but I wanted to show you this because this is something we've already studied on, all right, that this is the root of 3, okay, because you have 1, you have 2, and where they come together, this is called the vesica Pisces. It's also called the root of 3, the vesica Pisces, the root of David, or principle of singularity of Jesus in the Trinity. Vav is the measure of a fish, okay, where 2 become 1. So you have this, okay, what we have been looking at 717, this is Dalet, Vav, Dalet, okay, the Davidic dynasty, the Davidic kingdom, the return of the Davidic king, all right, which is Mashiach ben David, all right. But here, as you can see, you have Dalet, Vav, Dalet. Vav, okay, is the measure of the fish where 2 become 1, all right, where Vav Vav, this portion, the Vesica Pisces, becomes singularity or one. There is no duality. There aren't two Messiahs. The Messiah is one. Okay, the singularity over here is called the measure of a fish in mathematics. Okay, and this is what I want to share with you. All right. So here you've got, we had done this study on how 17 is the seventh prime number. So 7 is the completion of 17, which is Netzach of victory. All right, because when Jesus comes back as Mashiach ben David or Messiah ben David in his true warrior king form, that is when there's completion of 17. 17 stands for Netzach of victory. Okay, and as far as the measure of a fish, this Vesica Pisces goes, it is calculated in mathematics. Okay, this is the formula that is used. Right, and another thing, 717 in Strong's, as most of you already know, but I wanted to repeat this because it was put on my heart to repeat this. 717 is to gather, to pluck, and in Greek it means Armageddon. Okay, it is the return of the king. It is the code that gives us the Davidic kingdom, the return of the king. All right, the Jews are also looking forward to this. Be in no doubt, they know that they have a Mashiach called Mashiach ben David. All right, what they don't know is that Mashiach ben Joseph or Joseph, Mashiach ben Joseph, or son of Joseph has already come. They don't want to believe it. There's been a veil put over their eyes. Okay, they're blinded to the truth. Now, over here, as I mentioned, this is the Vesica Pisces. This is the singularity where two become one. Okay, now over here I showed you that David is Dalet, Vav, Dalet, where the Vav over here is the singularity. Okay, so in a sense, the numerical value of Dalet is 4. Dalet also means the door. Okay, who is the door? Jesus is the door. This is the door where the two become one. Okay, the singularity, the Vav. Okay, so here we get 414. Now you'll ask, how do you get 414? I'll tell you. This is Dalet. This is Vav, which is singularity. So Vav is a singularity of 1. So Dalet, 1, Dalet. So it's basically Dalet, singularity, Dalet. Alright, so that gives us 414. Now combine that with 2020, which means deliverance in Strong's. And it has one occurrence in Esther, 414. We get a perfect mathematical match. Are you seeing this, brothers and sisters? I mean, even if you hate math, this is something so spectacular. And do you know this whole thing, this whole 153 fish, okay, that is mentioned in John 21, right? This 153 fish, it's the measure of the fish. It is talking about this Vesica Pisces where the two become one. When the Messiah comes back as Mashiach ben David, then will we have the 717, the completion of 17 Netzach victory. Nothing is left to chance. You see, everything, the veil was just lifted off my eyes. I could see so clearly that everything that was shown to us, okay, it's just coming together as a perfect match. Now let me show you something. So when I saw this, I was absolutely blown away that the kingdom, okay, 717 represents the kingdom, it represents David. It is, in Hebrew, it is written as Dalet Vav Dalet, Dalet singularity Dalet, okay, which is 414. But to us, it looks like 717. And it's all about Messiah, okay, Messiah ben David coming back to reign as the warrior king, okay. And what's amazing is, if you study the life of David, all right, let me just take you there. Before that, I want to tell you that this is sort of a picture of David with Jonathan, who was Saul's son. Now, if you study 1 Samuel 20, you'll find that Jonathan and David were like brothers. They were very close friends, and Saul in this is almost like a shadow of the coming Antichrist. And Saul was anointed by God, our Father, through Samuel the prophet, to be king over Israel. But Saul, he lost it. Okay, he went against what Samuel had told him to do, and he lost his kingship. All right, and then David was anointed to be the king over Israel. But there was this transition period where Saul was literally baying after David's blood. He wanted to kill David, and David knew it. And then in 1 Samuel 20, you'll read that David and Jonathan have this conversation, and David tells Jonathan, okay, that, Jonathan, your father wants to kill me. And this conversation takes place a day before the new moon, the Hadesh, okay, the new moon, which is basically Hadesh, the new moon, by implication, a new month, okay? It's a day before the new moon, all right, where David tells Jonathan that, your father is going to kill me. Saul is planning to kill me, and Jonathan tells him, David, my father tells me everything. He shares everything with me. If he wanted to kill you, I would have known that. But then David says that, no, I think he does not want to hurt your feelings, so he hasn't told you, but he does want to kill me. And one way to find out is that tomorrow is the new moon, and tomorrow is going to be the feast, which, your father will expect me to be there, all right? And if I'm not there for the feast, if if your father asks, where I am, can you tell him that, that I've gone to Bethlehem, all right? Because there's a yearly sacrifice there for all my family. So just tell him that and see how he reacts. If he reacts well and says, oh, that's all right, then things are good. But if he be very wroth, if he be very angry, that then you'll know for sure that evil is determined by him. Okay, so then this conversation goes on, all right, and Jonathan is still not convinced, but he said, okay, I'll do what you say, all right, and this whole thing is about that, all right. So Jonathan said to David, tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty, because David's not going to be there. And when thou hast stayed 3 days, then he's basically telling him that you stay away and let me see how my father reacts. Okay, if Saul reacts badly, then I'll know that he plans to kill you, and if he does plan to kill you, then I will help you escape. Okay, because Jonathan tells David that he's going to fire 3 arrows. Okay, and if the arrows strike near the pile of rocks called Ezel. Okay, this is again very interesting. The stone Ezel. This is in 1 Samuel 20:19. Now, do you know what Ezel means? Apart from being the pile of rocks that David was hiding near, it means departure. Okay, look at this. It means departure. Ezel is departure or a memorial stone. All right, let me just show you that quickly. Departure. Okay, now. So he says, I'll fire the 3 arrows if I find that my father's out to kill you, that Saul is out to kill you, David. I will fire 3 arrows, and I will tell the boy to go and collect the arrows. And if I tell the boy, no, go further, that means you need to run, you need to escape, because my father is indeed planning to kill you. Okay, so very interesting story. Read the whole thing. I don't want to spend much time reading through with you right now. But essentially what I'm trying to tell you is that what ended up happening was that this conversation happened the day before Rosh Hashanah, okay, the day before the new moon. And on the first day of the new moon, there was a feast, okay, and the first day Saul said nothing, okay, for he thought that something had befallen him, that he's not clean, because there's a ritual purification for the Jews when they sit for this meal. And Saul thought David has not come because he's not purified. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day, the second meal that they had, the night after the Rosh Hadesh, okay, that David's place was empty again. All right. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meet neither yesterday nor today? Like, why hasn't he come? He wasn't there yesterday and he's not there today. And Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, Let me go, I pray thee, for our family hath a sacrifice in the city, and my brother hath commanded me to be there. So David, this is the excuse that David is, told Jonathan to say to his father, that there's a family feast, okay? And David has to go to Bethlehem, okay? His birthplace, he has to go to Bethlehem. And let me go because our family had a sacrifice in the city, okay? Now, this is very interesting because typically the family is sacrificed during, they've sacrificed the lamb during Passover, right? All right. So let me take you up there where he says that, okay? I think that's in 5, okay? There's a yearly sacrifice there for all the family when they sacrifice the unblemished lamb on Passover, okay? Now, listen to this, okay? So, of course, so David doesn't have dinner at Saul's table for 2 nights in a row, and Saul and Jonathan tells Saul what David has told him to say, that he's gone to, sacrifice the lamb with his family, with his entire family in Bethlehem. And so he asked me for leave, and I told him, yes, you can go. And Saul flies into a fury, okay? He curses Jonathan, he curses Jonathan's mother, okay? He flies into a total fury, all right? And he's abusive and insulting to Jonathan. And then Saul throws a javelin at his own son, Jonathan, to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David. So that's when Jonathan realizes that David was speaking the truth and that Saul intends to kill him. Okay, and then the morning after that, so Jonathan is absolutely, he's crushed, and he realizes what his father plans to do to David. And it came to pass in the morning, okay, because the whole night after that dinner, Jonathan walks away, okay? He walks away in anger and did eat no meat the second day, for he was grieved for David because his father had done him shame. Okay, he's ashamed for his father's behavior. And in the morning, okay, the morning after that dinner, Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David and a little lad with him. And he said unto this lad, Run, find out now the arrows which I shoot. As the lad ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. So remember, they had this code. David and Jonathan had this code that if the arrows go beyond the Ezel stone, okay, that means David is supposed to flee. Okay, so Jonathan shot 3 arrows, okay, beyond that stone, and Jonathan cried after the lad, Make speed, haste, stay not. And Jonathan's lad gathered up the arrows, okay? So because he said that is not the arrow beyond thee, so he's shooting the arrows. This is the code that David and Jonathan had, that the arrows would go beyond the Ezel stone. Ezel means departure, okay? And so the lad knew not anything, only Jonathan and David knew the matter. That is, it was the code between them, okay? And then after that little lad had gone and picked up the arrows, he sent him back into the city, okay? And then as soon as the lad was gone, David arose out of a place, okay? And he bowed himself 3 times, and they kissed one another and wept with one another until, they were really distraught. And Jonathan said to David, Go in peace. Okay, for as much as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord be between me and thee, and between my seed and thy seed forever. Like, we'll be friends forever. Okay, and Jonathan warns him, and David departs. This happens on the morning of the 3rd day. Now here's what really amazed me with this is that, you know, I'm going to show you something which might blow your mind too. Do you remember I'd shown you the lunations? Okay, and I told you that everything is happening now based on the lunations, and we have seen it take place over the last 3 lunations. Okay, now we are interested in lunation from 1200 to 1203, and I'll show you why. Because over here, I'm sorry, this is really tiny, but this is how I could get everything into one page. Lunation 1200 was 26th of December 2019 when the Ring of Fire eclipse took place, okay, and everything started from there. All right, and that matches Revelation 12:2. So I have lunation, this L1200 is lunation 1200, 26th of December 2019, which matches Revelation 12:2. And she being with child cried travailing in birth and pain to be delivered, because this particular lunation, okay, was very important. It was not only a Ring of Fire eclipse, okay, it was also the 4th day of Hanukkah. It is part of the Sarah series 132, which is again very interesting because at the beginning of the year I got the number 132, and that relates to something else. And it was the 46th eclipse. Remember, it took 46 years to build the second temple in Jerusalem, the temple in which Jesus walked, okay? He was the living God, Emmanuel, God among us, all right? And we also have, 46 chromosomes. This number 46 is extremely important. Now this, please pause and read this if you haven't read this before, because it tells us the importance of this particular eclipse, okay? And the fact that 223 is highly significant, and it is no coincidence that the word Moed or Moada, used in Genesis 1:14, okay, occurs a total of 223 times, all right? It's a signal as appointed beforehand. Okay, remember the Father has told us that the sun and moon are signals as appointed beforehand, okay? And this eclipse was extraordinary. It was also called the final eclipse, okay, in a sort of in a code format in heliofont, all right? It is given as the final eclipse, all right? Now this is very important to note, okay, that it was a 46th eclipse of 71 years, all right? And this happened on lunation 1200, which was 26th of December 2019, all right? Now coming back to this, let me show you something extraordinary. Do you remember in the beginning of the year I had got the number 132? Yeah, so 132 essentially at the beginning of the year, right? So I had made a video saying I had a message from, God, 132, okay? This was on January 10th, I'd posted it. I'd got the message on January 1st, okay? So it says 132 message and Happy New Year, all right? Now in this, I didn't know what the 132 was for, because of the 132 Sarah series, the Great Eclipse had already passed on 26th of December, so I didn't know what to make of this 132. But then a month later, I found out what it was, because 132 related to coronavirus, okay? And in this video, okay, which was posted, when was this posted? On January 30th. Now from January 25th to 29th, continuously for 4 days, okay, from 25th to 29th, this was the news, okay? Coronavirus hits 132 with 6,000 infected. Both the numbers 6,000 and 132 immediately caught my attention, and I knew that this virus was nothing, it was nothing but extraordinary, because the Father had already given me 132 at the beginning of the year, and then I saw the number 6,000, and for 4 days continuously this was being reported by the press, okay, from January 25th to January 29th. 6,000 infected in China, 132. Okay, death toll in China reaches 132. The big story, 132. 6,000 infected. And in this video, I had explained the link that immediately after I saw this, I realized that everything had started in motion, because I also realized mathematically that 132 is a product of 11 and 12. Okay, and 11 and 12 are basically the verses, all right? Jeremiah 11:1 verses 11 to 12 say, Then the Lord said to me, You have seen well, for I'm watching over my word to perform it. There's no more delay. Okay, now in this video I had mentioned all that. Okay, guys, if you haven't watched this, please go and watch this. Okay, this video is called, what is it, 132, Coronavirus, the Great Red Dragon, the end is here. Okay, because in that I had mentioned, all right, about these lunations that I'm showing you here. And I'd said that this particular eclipse that happened on the 26th of December 2019, the Ring of Fire, was like the woman in travail giving birth, because the Ring of Fire is what is experienced by women when the baby's head is crowning and she's about to deliver. Okay, so this was lunation 1200, it matched Revelation 12:2. And then lunation 1201, 25th of Jan, when the reporting started, 6,000 okay, infected in China and 132 dead. That's when I realized that Revelation 12:3, behold, a great red dragon, was being played out, that coronavirus was, in fact, the great red dragon spoken of in Revelation 12, because it started at the Chinese New Year, when the great red dragon is paraded through the streets in processions for Chinese New Year, okay? And it started from China. So that happened on 25th of Jan when the reporting started, 6,000 infected, okay? And you know, 6,000 years, and then the millennium starts, the 1,000-year reign starts after the 6,000 year. And this 6,000 infected, 132 dead for 4 days from 25th of Jan to 29th showed me that this is indeed Revelation 12:3 being played out in real time in our physical reality. Okay, behold a great red dragon. And I told you in that video that this is no ordinary virus, and this is going to take on a form that will affect the whole world, and nothing will be able to contain it. Okay, and so we are seeing now, 2 months down the line, we are seeing that come to pass, right? Because the Lord had given me this. He had given me 132 at the beginning of the year. Now, lunation 1202 was 23rd of Feb. Okay, the new moon was on 23rd of Feb. And that is what I said was, now this dragon is going to, spread. It's going to, and indeed, this was the time during this lunation from the 23rd of Feb to the 16th of March, it went from 6,000 cases in China to nearly 250,000 cases today around the world. Okay, it's 250,000 plus cases. All right, so up to 16th of March, I told you this is going to spread. And on the 5th of March, something amazing happened, that Bethlehem was closed. And I said, look, Bethlehem and the dragon stand face to face. Okay, and the door has just been shut. So the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And isn't it strange that Bethlehem, where Jesus, when he came as Messiah ben Joseph, he was born in Bethlehem, and Bethlehem was shut because the coronavirus in Bethlehem stood face to face and the door was shut. Okay, now, so that happened in lunation 1202, okay, which started from 23rd of Feb, all right, and ended. The third quarter started on 16th of March, so it ended on the 23rd of March. It will end on the 23rd of March. Now look at Revelation 12:5, okay, which will be the next lunation, which is lunation 1203. All right, lunation 1203 coincides with Revelation 12:5, and she brought forth a man-child. All right, and her child was caught up, harpazoed unto God and to his throne. This harpazo 726 happens in Revelation 12:5, and that coincides with lunation 1203 according to everything we're seeing. Okay, lunation 1203 starts on 24th of March. That's the new moon. Now superimpose this with David's escape from Saul. Now Saul, as I mentioned, was anointed by God. Okay, and he was via Samuel the prophet. Saul was anointed, and he is like a shadow, okay, of Lucifer, who, as we read in Ezekiel 28:14, he was the anointed cherub who fell from grace. Okay, so he's a type of Antichrist in this story. Now the Bible is all about shadows, okay, and stories that keep repeating the same story, literally. And this particular story, okay, 1 Samuel 20, is all about David's escape. And we are expecting the return of the Davidic dynasty, okay? Because this is what I've been getting 717, 717 for the last 2 years. So much so that I have a playlist that I've recently, formulated because I was told to do that. I was told to leave the 717 playlist, okay? I created it on February 23rd. Okay, there's 17 videos in all. And this is 717 Biblical Studies and Research over the past 2 years, because 717 is quoted everywhere, brothers and sisters. It's there in the Ark of the Covenant. It's there in the book of Revelation. It is there in the Eastern Gate, okay? And this, if you haven't watched this, quoted for geometry, John 21, part 1 and 2, you'll see that 717 is quoted throughout the Bible. Okay, and I have researched it, and I'll leave the link for this playlist in the description box as well. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I have been given this, and now I realize that represents the Davidic kingdom for when the warrior king, when Jesus returns as Messiah ben David, or Messiah ben David, okay, as the warrior king mentioned in Ezekiel 14, okay, and it's all connecting together. And as I told you, this is the 717. This means David. And this is Dalet Vav Dalet. Okay, and where you have Dalet is equal to 4, that's 414. Dalet, singularity, where two become one, and Dalet. And this whole thing, it's just blown my mind how this is all coming together now. But getting back to the story of Jonathan and David's escape, okay, in 1 Samuel 20, you'll notice there's a pattern. Why have we been given this, this whole story about the new moon and the 3 days from the new moon? Okay, we've been given this story, all right? We've been given this for a purpose. Nothing is given, randomly in the Bible. Everything has a purpose. Now, as I mentioned, there's a reason why I'm telling you about these lunations, okay, because lunations are very important to our Lord, all right? In Isaiah 66:23, it says, all flesh will come before me from one new moon to the next, okay, from one Hodesh to the next. Now this, as I mentioned, okay, now I'm just going to mark these 3 because this is what we're looking at, lunation 1200, lunation 1201, 1202, and 1203, because by the time lunation 1203 is over, the harpazo happens. The child is caught up. Harpazo, G726, unto God and to his throne. And this starts on 24th of March. And 24th of March is the new moon. And it will end on the 22nd of April. 15th of April is the 3rd phase, and the next lunation starts on 23rd of April. But if this is anything to go by, we know that the pattern has played out perfectly in real time in our physical world. Okay, and now we're looking to this. Between this, the 24th of March, and the 22nd of April, we're looking at the harpazo. It's amazing, brothers and sisters, how this is all panned out so far. Okay, now taking into account the story in 1 Samuel 20 about David's escape, okay, which is kind of like a shadow of our escape. All right, now over there, if you notice that it was prior to the new moon that Jonathan and David had this conversation. Now, if we take 24th of March, okay, let me just take you there. All right, now I've told you this, okay. I've told you this lunation is very important, 1203, okay. It will start from 24th of March and it will end one day before the next lunation, which is on 23rd of April. All right, now if we take into account David and Jonathan's conversation and when David escaped, look at the Torah calendar, okay? This is Rosh Chodesh, this is the new moon, 24th of March to 25th, they go from sunset to sunset. Now 23rd of March is when, if we take this into account, this is when David and Jonathan had this conversation, a day before the new moon, because they said tomorrow is the new moon, okay? Now 24th evening is the first dinner with Saul, where Jonathan and Saul are sitting, David is absent, And Saul doesn't ask anything, because 24th night he's like, oh, David must be, he must not have been purified, so he didn't come for dinner. But then 25th night, the second night after the new moon, see, 24th night they had one dinner. 25th night they have their second dinner. Okay, let me go to the next month. So here we go. This is the night of the second dinner, 25th. All right. And then Saul completely loses it. He chucks a javelin at Jonathan, says, you so and so, and your mother's a so and so, and he completely loses it. Okay, so 24th night and 25th night. 25th night is when Saul completely loses it. All right, and the 26th morning is when Saul goes out into the field and starts shooting arrows to warn David that David, run, escape. It's by the Ezel stone, and I've shown you Ezel means departure. And do you know what's extremely interesting? You look at the Torah calendar, all right? It moves from the 4th day into the 5th day. And this, brothers and sisters, is called the Day of Salvation. Why is it called the Day of Salvation? I mean, if you click on this, you'll find this. Rosh Hadesh, Day of Salvation, Exodus 12:1-2. Brothers and sisters, it's called the Day of Salvation. 26th of March is called the Day of Salvation. And that is the morning. If we superimpose Jonathan and David's story on this, when David escapes, what can be considered a sure death at the hands of Saul, he escapes that death on the Day of Salvation. Okay? And for us, that means 26th of March. Now, why are they calling it the Day of Salvation? I couldn't understand this. I was like, oh my God, what are you trying to show me? It says that on the Torah calendar. That's 25th March sunset to 26th, Day of Salvation. Right? Now, another thing, very interesting. If you calculate from the day, from 26th of December 2019, when our sign began, all right, the lunation, the 1200th lunation happened, and the the ball started rolling from there. Jeremiah 1:11-12, okay, where the Lord says that this is it. I'm going to perform my word now, you watch. And from 26th of December 2019, from the Ring of Fire eclipse, the final eclipse, to 26th of March is 91 days, 3 months, okay, 91 days, and it is also 13 weeks. And you might say that what's so special about 91 days? Here's what the Lord showed me. Psalm 91. What does it say? He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. Now tell me that doesn't blow your mind, because after all, what are we looking at in our world today? What have these lunations brought forth? What have they shown us? Over here, the 1200, see, everything I've told you so far, okay, starting with the 26th of December, all right, she being with child, was pain to be delivered. We saw the Ring of Fire eclipse. The Ring of Fire is the sensation that a pregnant woman experiences when the baby's head is crowning. It's crowning and it's ready to be delivered. Then, by January 25th, which was the Chinese New Year, behold a great red dragon. We had 6,000 cases infected and 132 deaths in China. Okay, by 24th of March, you'll see that from 6,000 cases in China, it has gone to 250,000, 250,000 cases. In fact, it's even more today. Okay, if you want to find out, coronavirus cases, I suggest you go to this website. Okay, it's called worldometers.info. All right, and it gives you the current status. All right, so it'll give you this. Look at this, 276,705. Okay, we've crossed 11,000 deaths so far. All right, and then you have deaths by country. Okay, which is this. So you have Italy, which has crossed 4,000 deaths. All right, Spain And then you have all these countries with the number of cases, new cases, total deaths, new deaths. And look at Iran, they're close to 20,000 now with 1,433 deaths. And then you have UK with 177 deaths. You've got all these countries. USA, okay, USA has had 275 deaths so far, okay, and 19 new deaths, all right, and these are the new cases, and all over the world, it's all over the world, and you can go country by country, and you'll get total cases, total deaths, new deaths. If you really want to find the truth of how many, you know, uh, how coronavirus is spreading all over the nations, then go to this worldometers.info/coronavirus. Okay. Now, coming back to this, was it coded in David and Jonathan's, when David escaped Saul, who is a type of Antichrist, an anointed being who was basically who fell from grace. Okay, and David escaped Saul. And would that story, 1 Samuel 20, were there clues hidden in that story to point us to this day? I don't know, but I wanted to share with you because when I saw this and I saw Day of Salvation, I was blown away. And then the Davidic kingdom is here. That's what this whole thing has been about. Oh, sorry about that. This is the beginning of the Davidic kingdom. You see, that was what 717 was all about. For the last 2 years, I've been breaking my head, researching. Now the veil has been lifted, you see, because this is 717. This is also 414. Do you realize? Dalet, singularity, Dalet, 414. Combine that with 2020, deliverance and strongs. I mean, how much clearer can it get? It's a perfect mathematical match. And now we are seeing a clearer picture. Now, I don't know if this is going to be it. Okay, I don't know if this is going to be it. Is this the day with that, the 153, the measure of the fish, are lifted up into safety and security? Because it sure looks like that to me now. I mean, look at this. It says 26th of March, right? 25th to 26th, Day of Salvation. And when you calculate it based on the lunations, right? You get 91 days, 3 months exactly, 13 weeks. 13 is the number of rebellion. Psalm 91, 3 months from the final eclipse, which is pretty amazing, don't you think? And, this whole thing is just, it came about when I started studying the, Messiah ben David, that article, which I've linked below in the description box. And of course, do you remember that when I did the exposition on Psalm 118? Now in verse 25, it says, "Save now, I beseech thee, O Lord, I beseech thee. Send now prosperity." Now this is the King James Version, but if you see this, the meaning of this word prosperity, okay, it means salah. It means to come mightily, okay? Let me pull this up. Come mightily. All right, it does not mean prosperity, it means to come mightily. That's in 25. And then 26, "Blessed be he that cometh in the name of the Lord. We have blessed you out of the house of the Lord." Out of the house of the Lord. The house of the Lord is where? The house of the Lord is heaven. Which means that by the time you reach 26, and I mentioned in that exposition that by the time you reach verse 26, you're already in the house of the Lord. Look at this. This is the Lord, Jehovah, Yahweh. Yeah, the self-existent or eternal Yahweh. Okay, we have blessed you out of the house of the Lord. And I had mentioned back then, that was 2 years ago, that 26 is extremely, extremely important. We must keep an eye out for it. This was even before I started getting the 717 code, which now I realize is all about Messiah ben David, when Jesus comes back as the warrior king, right? David, David, Dalet, Vav, Dalet, the Davidic kingdom, the compound of the third person, the root of three, the Vesica Pisces, the root of David, or the principle of singularity of Jesus in the Trinity. Goodness, our Lord is so amazing. Vav is the measure of the fish, this measure of the fish. 153 in mathematics is the measure of the fish. And 153 is also Benaheh Elohim, the sons of God, the children of God, right? And it is also 153 fish of John 21, from where, where the 717 code is given so clearly. Now I realize that that is the Davidic kingdom. Look at the Davidic coin that was minted. This is the name of David, Messiah ben David. Yeah, Mashiach ben David, Messiah ben David. This is just incredible. And 2020 is deliverance in Strong's. The only occurrence is in Esther 4:14. Dalet, singularity Dalet, and the door opens. Revelation 4:1. And I saw a door open in heaven. My goodness. And I don't know if this is going to be it. Do we go past this? I don't know. But definitely in the Torah calendar, if you look at this is what you'll see. Right? 26th of March, sunset. Day of salvation. 25th of March, sunset to 26th of March, sunset. Day of salvation. And as I've mentioned to you, it's 91 days. Psalm 91 is so clear. Surely he will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence which is all over the world today. My goodness, brothers and sisters, I don't know if this is it. Or could we be looking at, maybe beyond this? Okay, beyond Rosh Hashanah? Beyond the 26th? Well, time will tell. But, it's just amazing. And another thing I wanted to share with you is that if you go to April, right, let's say we pass 26 and we go into April, where you have Nisan, where you've got the 11th of April, this is the 17th of Nisan. Now, you guys do know this, right, that the month of Nisan is the 7th month and the 1st month, okay? Because the Jews use two kinds of calendars. The civil calendar is the official calendar of kings, childbirth and contracts. Now, isn't this all about kings and childbirth and contracts, the time we're in? So if the civil calendar is the official calendar of kings, childbirth and contracts, then we're looking at Nisan. Nisan is also the 7th month in the civil year. It's the 1st month and the 7th month. And could we be looking at 717 there, which would make it what? The 17th of Nisan is the 11th of April? Or could it be the 4th of April, 414, 4/4, 2020? Because if you look at 4/4/20, you know what it means? I made a note of it in Strong's. 4420, okay, is saltiness, and it means a wing. And you remember I shared that with you, that, on the wings of eagles? Wait, I'll get that. This with wind like flight shall ye be gathered. I was doing an exposition. This I'd posted, I think, 2 years ago. All right. And in Luke 17:37, the disciples, they answered and said unto him, Where, Lord? Like, where will we be gathered? And Jesus said unto them, Wheresoever the body is, thither will the eagles be gathered together. Now, wheresoever the body is basically soma. It means a body, a slave, like the slave of the Lord. Okay? Wherever you are, wherever the slaves of the Lord are, okay, slaves in love, with wind like flight, okay, ye shall be gathered together. Okay, so this sentence was wherever the people of the Lord are, with wind like flight. This eagles is basically wind like flight. Okay, G105. Alright, so what does it say here? Wind like flight. With wind like flight, you shall be gathered. Alright, so all of this coming together is just incredible. And if you ask me, it's coming together now. Okay, this 1203, lunation 1203, is matching up to Revelation 12:5. All this has already happened in our real-time physical world. This is the next lunation 1203, and that begins from the new moon on the 24th of March, all right, Remember 24th night? Okay, 23rd night, Jonathan and David had their conversation. The next day was the new moon. 24th night, Jonathan went for dinner. David was missing. Saul said nothing. 25th night, Saul said, "Where is the son of Jesse?" And then he threw a javelin at Jonathan when Jonathan said, "Oh, he wanted to go to Bethlehem to do a sacrifice with his family." When do they do the sacrifice? When do they sacrifice lamb? The whole family gets together to do it on Passover. So this is before Passover. Okay, on the new moon. So 24th night, 25th night, Jonathan's having dinner with Saul. 26th morning, he goes to the field and shoots the arrows and lets David know that he's in, mortal danger and he needs to escape. And David does escape. All right. And again, when you match it with Revelation 12:5, this lunation 1203, yeah, when everything started, I told you everything started from lunation 1200. All right, this whole thing, I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm so excited about this, brothers and sisters. And then, she brought forth a man-child. Her child was caught up, 726, harpazo. Again, 26 is there, right? 726, unto God and to his throne. And this is the lunation where I believe it'll all go down, because all this has already happened according to these words, according to scripture, in these lunations. In lunation 1200, 1201, 1202, all this has already taken place on our earth. We've seen it. Okay, and this is the only thing left now. And I believe this will happen within this lunation, which ends on the 22nd of April. Okay, the third quarter begins on 15th April. It ends on 22nd because the 1204 lunation takes place on 23rd of April. I believe we'll be gone before then. And all this has absolutely blown my mind. I'm sorry it took so long to give you all this information. It's a long video, but surely it's worth it, right? And to think that all these days, yeah, whatever we've been waiting for, what if it happens in this 26th March sunset? Because 26th morning, Jonathan went and shot the arrows and David escaped. And it says day of salvation. Do you see that? Day of salvation. Why would it say that? Why? But anyway, if it's still here beyond that, as I mentioned that, there will be 17th of Nisan, 717 again, which is the 11th of April. Or it could be the 4th of April, because 414, hello, 4/420. And I told you that 4420 means a ring, and it means saltiness. Pray that you're accounted worthy. Pray that you're accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come upon the earth. So, I'm looking at this, but most of all, I mean, this blew my mind. I'm looking at this 26th of March. It also coincides perfectly with David and Jonathan's little chat before Passover, because David was going to sacrifice the lamb at Bethlehem with his entire family. And before the new moon, he had this conversation with Jonathan, and then by 26th, David escaped. And over here in Torah Calendar, it says Day of Salvation. Why? So I'm going to close here. Extremely long video. I apologize for that, but I'm sure, you would have enjoyed all the information that's been packed into this, right? So God bless you, brothers and sisters. I think our time is up. I think this is it. And oh yes, another thing I forgot to mention, that Brother Jonathan Clegg rang the bell on 16th of March, right? 10 days later is 26th of March. So we could go then on the day of salvation according to Torah calendar, or anytime between the 24th of March to the 22nd of April. Let's say we're at the end. Okay, so take care, brothers and sisters. Stay in the Lord, stay in the Word. Be delighted because our redemption draws nigh. Okay, goodbye and God bless you.